You are kind, you are more than these. Lost for words, trying to describe you. Elohim, Elion, Ale Shelevi. Your greatness is all I see. There is nothing you cannot do. There's no mountain you cannot move. If you have said it, then you will do it. 'Cause you have a track record of keeping your word, and you're not about to stop doing it now. All over Ruabaye,
You are mighty, oh.
all over Ruabaye,
You are mighty, oh.
Shebi walo fojoro,
Shashora,
Shebe yile fojoro.
Shashora.
All over Ruabaye,
You are mighty,
hey. You are mighty, oh. By the blood that you shed, we have overcome. This charge that acquitted for life, Then you gave us the right to your holy name. Yeah. The center of power and strength. There is nothing you cannot change, Baba. There's no bondage
Season Gospel FM family. I hope you're all doing well. I hope your week is off to a wonderful, wonderful start. It's another Monday, and here we are again on Faith Matters with me, Nana. It's always a pleasure, it's always a blessing to come on and just spend the time with you, reflecting on our daily Christian walk. How are we being Christ's hands and feet? How are we shining His light brightly for others to see? I want to say thank you to family who've joined in on our FM dial 89.1 FM. Thank you all so much for coming on. And of course, those who have come on through newseasonfm.com, thank you. YouTube family, thank you so much. And of course, Facebook family in the room. I want to say good evening, Sister Marcia. Thank you for coming on. Sister Joy, hi, good evening. Sister Marsha, good evening. I see you on as well. Thank you so much for just taking out the time to come on this evening. Again, Faith Matters is just a platform where we reflect. I do most of the talking and most of the reflections on just how the faith walk is going. It is just basically about our Christian walk, how it is going. It's not a walk in the park. You know, you have those days where you have those highs and you have those lows. It's not an easy walk, but with God, everything is possible, and we can't do it all on our own. And I just reflect on just how living daily the faith is, how I respond to things in a faith or not a faith like manner, and just basically things that happen to me, and I share from my reflection pages as well. So that's what this show is all about. And you're able to chime in, especially friends and family who are watching through Facebook and YouTube. You're able to, type in the comment box what your thoughts are on whatever aspect that I touch on. But before I go into it tonight, I just want to take the time again to say thank you so much to our sponsors. It's because of your generosity that we're able to do what we do. Thank you so much for all that you do, for all the support. If you haven't supported yet, I would really like to ask you to prayerfully consider being a supporter today. New Season Gospel FM is listener supported, and we rely solely on your generosity to be able to do what we do. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in just running a radio station, and we rely on your help. So if you haven't done so, please let today be the day where you make that decision to be a supporter of your station. There's different ways to do so. You can do so through Cash App. For Cash App, it's the $ New Season WC. Again, that's the $ New Season WC. You can also do so through Zelle. For Zelle, it's 954-536-1821. Again, that's 954-536-1821. You can go straight to the website, newseasonfm.com. Click on the give/donate button, and it takes you right to the donate page. You can just give right there. It's just really easy to do. If any of those don't work for you, you'd rather just mail us a check, that's totally fine. You can do so by just writing a check out to us and mailing it out to 4660 North University Drive, Lauderhill, Florida 33351. Again, that's 4660 North University Drive, Lauderhill, Florida 33351, or 33319. Either of those zip codes will get to us. Again, thank you so much, and if you haven't done so, please prayerfully consider being a supporter of your station today. Today's a day to say yes, and if you have been supporting, thank you so much. I know I speak for the entire team when I say we're so grateful. Please do not rest on your oars. Continue to give, because you are given to God's kingdom and building God's kingdom. So thank you all so much for that. So if you're just joining again, this is Faith Matters with me, Nana. Again, it's a platform where we reflect on our daily Christian walk. And so jumping right into it, of course, you guys know I like to I like to count down. So today's May 23rd. It's amazing. May's almost out. We only have one more week left in the month. It's the 23rd already. It just seems like yesterday was May 1st. Again, where are you at? This is my usual spiel. Where are you at at this time in the year? We're almost at the mid mark of the year. Are you able to look at where you are from where the year started up until this point and be able to say, oh, this is what I've done, or this is what I've accomplished? I'm so proud of myself. Are you able to do that? What are the accomplishments that you can glory in? Again, remember, I always say that it's not those big accomplishments that you achieve, but those little steps that you take towards achieving those big goals that you set for yourselves, because I think that's really important, just really glorying in those steps, because when you see the progress that you make, I think it just really encourages you more, and you're not disappointed, because sometimes we set those big goals for ourselves and it's hard for us to see like the big things happen all at once. But if you take them in little chunks, if you're just taking those the steps, the growth that you're experiencing in little strides, you're able to sit back and say, okay, I've done this, I wanted to achieve this, or this is the goal I've set for myself. I haven't gotten there yet, but these are the steps that I've taken so far in getting there. I think that when you do that, it just really encourages you more to just recognize what you've done, and it just really spurs you to keep going, and you're not disappointed. So learn to glory in those baby steps towards achieving those big goals. Again, take stock of where you're at. You don't want to get to the end of the year and be like, oh gosh, what have I done? I haven't accomplished anything. I'm really hoping that you'll be able to say that you have grown somewhat at this point in the year. And if you haven't done anything, if you haven't seen any growth, it's not too late. Don't there's no time like the present. Today is the day to start something. Today is the day to set that goal for yourself, and you work towards achieving it. So again, it is the 23rd day of May. It's the 143rd day of the year. We only have 222 days left in 2022. So there's 222 left in 2022. 222 days left in 2022. It's going, people. Before you know it, it's going to be the end of the year. And you don't want to get to the end of the year and be like, oh gosh, the year's gone by and I don't have anything to show. So again, that's just my usual spiel. Hopefully you're able to take something away from that and you're able to start something if you haven't started anything yet. That's just my little encouragement. Jumping into the holidays, I don't have a lot this week. Usually, I think the weird ones are kind of like the fun ones for me, but I don't have a lot of the weird ones today. This is just like, I'll just say I have like plain ones, or ones that I think we kind of know about. Well, no, not for today though. I didn't know World Turtle was a day, but apparently today's World Turtle Day. And at this point I have just really I've stopped being surprised at the holidays, because I know that every animal has a holiday right now. So today, being Monday, is World Turtle Day. Well, hi. Hopefully that's Sister Yusi, but if it's not Sister Yusi, and if that's actually Joshua, hi Joshua, how are you? It's World Turtle Day. Oh wow, it's Labor Day in Jamaica. That's awesome. It's also National Taffy Day. It's Crohn's and Colitis Day as well today. Tomorrow, being Tuesday, is Brothers' Day. So I think it's really special that all brothers get to just really celebrate the day and just bond together more as brothers. So tomorrow's Brothers' Day. It's also Aviation Maintenance Technician Day. I think that's really important to just really recognize the maintenance technicians that just take care of everything that has to do with aviation. Because without them, I don't think we'll have aircrafts that are, just really working properly, that we're able to fly around. So we appreciate them. It's also Escargot Day. This is just a fancy word for snail. So I'll just go ahead and say it's Snail Day tomorrow. It's Asparagus Day. It's National Tiara Day. National Tiara Day. I think I like this one. It's just really celebrating the princess inside of you. That's just my little spin on it. But it's National Tiara Day. It's Scavenger Hunt Day. I don't know if there's anybody out there that loves going on a scavenger hunt. I think it's fun trying to like find things and see getting those clues and trying to really find the treasure in the hunt. I love scavenger hunting, so that's really good. But tomorrow is scavenger hunt, so try to find something fun or be creative with that if you're able to. Scavenger hunt tomorrow. Wednesday is Geek Pride Day, so for all those geeks out there, there's just something about everybody's special and unique, and I think this is just a really great holiday, just to celebrate your geekness, celebrate your uniqueness. I really think that geeks are cool. Gonna have the days where people say, "Oh, they're not cool," but they are cool. I think in some ways we all kind of have like a little geek inside of us. I'm a geek in some ways, when it comes to books and all of that. So it's Geek Friday. So just celebrate your geekness and take pride in yourself, in who you are. It's National Missing Children's Day. I think this is important. Just bringing awareness to kids that have gone missing, and just really praying for them, those who haven't been found, and just really bringing awareness to this. It's Senior Health and Fitness Day as well on Wednesday. So just really encouraging and celebrating our seniors, and just really pushing them to just stay healthy and fit. So it's Senior Health and Fitness Day on Wednesday. For those of you who like tap dancing, it's tap dancing on Wednesday as well. So it's Tap Dance Day on Wednesday. It's Towel Day. So we're just celebrating the invention of towels. So Towels Day on Wednesday. On Thursday, it's Paper Airplane Day. I don't know if you ever made paper airplanes as a kid. I sure did. So it's Paper Airplane Day on Thursday. For those of you who like blueberry cheesecake, I'm not a big fan of blueberries, but it is Blueberry Cheesecake Day on Thursday, so knock yourself out. Also, if you're into cherry, any cherry dessert, that's the day for it as well. For those redheads out there, if you're a redhead, it's a day to celebrate your redheadedness. On Thursday, it's also Ascension on Thursday. So rounding out the week, Friday, it's National Heat Awareness Day. I think this is really important. So National Heat Awareness Day was created to encourage employers and workers to recognize the warning signs for heat illness, and to keep workers safe. And so, although it's centered, in the workplace, it raises awareness about the dangers of heat for everyone. Extreme heat and humidity can lead to illness and death when the body is unable to maintain its usual temperature. It's the number one cause of death related to weather in the U.S. I didn't know that, but it is heat. Heat is the number one cause of death related to weather in the United States. It's also Road Trip Day on Friday, so take a road trip. It's the weekend, so if you're able to get away, it's a day to just say, hey, I'm going to take a road trip. So take a road trip on Friday. I like this one. I think this is my favorite out of the week. Nothing to Fear Day. Nothing to Fear Day. So Nothing to Fear Day is like you really don't have anything to fear. And I think, speaking from a Christian perspective, from a perspective of a child of God, you should not fear anything, because He has not given us a spirit of fear. So whatever it is that's inside of you to do, whatever you've been trying to take the plunge in, and you just been really fearful about taking that step or doing, Friday is the day where you say, you know what, I'm not going to be fearful today. I don't care what lies the enemy is whispering in my ears. I'm going to jump into it, and I'm going to do it because it's Nothing to Fear Day, and because I know whose I am. And your daddy owns the whole world, so you should not be afraid of anything. So it's Nothing to Fear Day on Friday. That is the one for me for this week, of course, and that would just round out the holidays for this week. So again, if you're just joining in, this is Faith Matters with me, Nana, just rounding out the holidays for the week. If you're just joining in and wondering what I'm talking about about the days, those are just weird holidays, or some holidays that we know of, some we don't know of, that I usually just share with you guys. So jumping into my reflections for the evening, I wanted to talk on two things. Well, I'll float around a bit on a couple of thoughts that I had. One would be living out your calling or living for Christ unafraid. I just talked about not being fearful. So living out your calling or living for Christ unafraid. I read this morning from the gospel passage of John 15:26-27, and it says, when the advocate comes, whom I will send to you from the Father, the Spirit of truth who goes out from the Father, he will testify about me, and you also must testify, for you have been with me from the beginning. So this is Jesus talking to his disciples and telling him, about the Spirit coming to them and how the Spirit will testify about him, and urging them to also testify because they have been with him from the beginning. So witnessing in the Spirit. Our faith is by no means a static reality. Our faith is just it's not meant to be static. Just as the early disciples, the first disciples, the apostles, experienced Christ's teaching, preaching. They were with him, one on one. They witnessed this firsthand, miracles, the personal love. All of us Christians now presently, serious about our those of us who are serious about our faith, discover Christ's presence through our daily experiences. That's why I said faith matters. Like, how are we living out our Christian lives in our daily life, every single day, in our everyday lives? That's what this show is about. So we experience Christ in everything. He's everywhere. He's not only in church on Sundays, but he is with us every single day, 24/7, in our jobs, at the stores, in the car, at the gas station, wherever we find ourselves. Christ is there, and we should be able to experience Christ's presence throughout our daily experience. So Jesus is always with us, and his forgiveness and closeness are the source of our joy. The Holy Spirit empowers us to give us to hear. The Holy Spirit empowers us and gives us the boldness to witness to what we freely received. Some questions. The question now is, are we really taking seriously our Christian vocation? When you think about it, if you sit back and just ask yourself seriously, are you taking your Christian vocation seriously? Am I taking it seriously? To give the testimony to Christ's love. Like, am I living out my life? Is my life a living testimony, or am I sharing God's testimony daily? Do I realize that my first act of testimony needs to be the witness of a truly Christian life? So my first act of a testimony is just like my entire life. Like, when people see me, they should see Christ in me. I don't even need to say anything first. I don't need to open my mouth to say, for words to come out. Just by the way I carry myself, the way I act, just by not saying anything, just the way I live my life, should be testimony enough of God, of what God is, or who God is in my life, and leading others to him. Do we also remember, I wonder, to rely, because we do need to rely heavily on the Holy Spirit? And do we remember to do this? Do we remember that we're not in this alone, that Christ promised us that he will send an advocate that will be with us? Do we remember that? And sometimes I think we forget, because in many ways we seem to want to just take things in our own hands and do things by ourselves, and not really focus or look at what God or hear what God is saying, or follow where he's leading us. We tend to forget, because we're distracted by just so much that's going on around us. There's just noise everywhere, the noise just really overshadows the voice of the Spirit. We tend to forget, and then we tend to just rely solely on ourselves, sadly, knowing that we don't own ourselves. We don't have anything. We have no power. But we tend to, in many times, rely on ourselves, and that is so. And that's the reason, the major reason why many times we fall into the traps or the situations that we find ourselves in that are not, that are uncomfortable or not exactly where God wants us to be. Good evening, Mommy Jasmine. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for coming on. And so we tend to forget, maybe God is leading us somewhere else, but because we're just so stubborn and because we shut our ears to the spirit, we say, okay, we're just focused on what we want, and we just go with what we want and what we feel is best for us. And then we hit a roadblock. Of course, it never goes well when you do not rely on the spirit, or when you do not open up or let the spirit lead you, or have you do what God is actually asking you to do. So many times we find ourselves. So I think it's important for us to always remember that the Holy Spirit is a partner. He's our partner. He's there. He's our guide, just to lead us on this journey. Also, Christ shared in that portion of scripture, of course, which is John 15:26 to 27. He shares with them, being witnesses. It would not only be met with acceptance. He shares with them. If you read the other parts of that, if you go further into that, he tells them, that not everybody's going to like them. And not everybody's going to receive or be receptive of their witnessing to him. And when you think about it, when you read that, it just goes to show that opposition is going to be an integral part of being Christian. If you're a Christian, it's never going to be smooth sailing, because of course the last thing the enemy is going to do is just, okay, I'm just going to sit back and just let her be Christian, let her be a good Christian. No, it's not going to be smooth sailing. It's going to be that you're going to have opposition. You're going to face those challenges. You're going to have those pitfalls, because the last thing the enemy wants is for you to succeed on this faith journey. That's not what he wants. He doesn't want you to make it to heaven. He does not want that for you at all. So he's going to have those roadblocks. He's going to set up those traps and those oppositions. But Christ now is telling them, just preparing their minds and saying to them, hey, listen, you're going to face this. People are even going to even kill and they're going to kill you, and even think that what they're doing is right in the sight of God. And so deep-seated and unflinching adherence to Christ and the voice of the Spirit has never ever been a popular thing. If you're a true follower of Christ, you're trying your very best to just live a good life. You're trying your best to do the right thing, to be on the straight and narrow. That has never been popular, and sadly, especially now in our world today, it's not a popular position. It's not a popular stance. So how do you recognize, or how do you cope with all of those challenges, knowing that you have to stand firm and stand rooted in your faith and say, hey, no matter what, I'm going to still be there. It's recognizing and realizing that God is with you, and trusting God completely, and trusting in his word, what he has spoken and said about you, and the promises that he has made to you. We're not called to fit in, because a lot of times we're thinking that, we have to fit into the society, or we have to fit into certain norms, or we have to fit into what people say, and how people feel that we should be. So I think many times we're just really looking and just really concerned about fitting in, fitting into the world, rather than standing out. We are, yes, we're in the world, but we're not of the world. We're not called to fit in, but we're called to stand out. So are you able to stand out in a world that is constantly just pulling on you, or nudging you to fit in? Are you able to stand out? That's a question that you need to ask yourself. Am I able to just really stand out in the face of whatever consequences might come my way, whatever my peers might say? Am I able to, just say, I don't care. I know what's in front of me. I know what my end goal is, and I'm just going to stay focused, and I'm going to do that. So are you able to stand out in a society that's constantly nudging you to fit in? That's a question that you really need to reflect on. And I think many times, like, we encourage younger people, the young ones, to, be you're unique, be unique. You need to do trust in God. Don't try to be like everyone else. Don't try to fit in. We as adults, we as grown-ups, that's what we say to the younger ones. But you find out that many times we as grown-ups are the ones who are really trying to fit in. When we're advising and telling the younger ones, like, hey, no, you're unique, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, but yet we ourselves don't believe that, and because we do not believe that, we tend to want to fit in, and do things that are contrary to what God's teaching is. And sadly, as adults, I think, if anything, we're the ones that need that reminder, need that constant nudging to just keep our eyes focused, and keep our eyes focused on Christ, and be firmly rooted in His Word, trusting in who we are, and just being confident in our identity in Christ. Because we have to remember that Christ goes before us, and the Holy Spirit is always by our side. He's always there, and that's God's promise to us, that He would never leave us. He would never ever leave us. So we have to keep trusting that God is with us in all that we do, in everything that we do. He is by our side. He is making sure that we do not fall by the wayside, and all we have to do is to be conscious of that fact, to always be conscious that He's there with us, and to always listen, to pay attention, to be able to shut down the noise that's around us, and be able to listen to God's voice. And also the listening part, in that listening part as well, is being able to know when we're actually hearing the Spirit, because sometimes it could be our own voice that we're hearing, and not the voice of God. And so just really being quiet in ourselves, even in the midst of the noise and the chaos, to really hear and see where God is nudging us. So let's learn to just live our faith unafraid. Live our faith unafraid. What is it? I always say, we're not called to be Christians on Sunday, just on Sundays. We're not called. It's not a deal where you wake up, you put on your Sunday best, you go to church 2 hours, and then you get back home and you change, and you transform into someone else. No, this is something that we're called. This is a life that we're called to every single day. It's a 24/7 deal. So how can you show that you're living out your faith unafraid in your place of work? I read something this afternoon. It was a new story that popped up on my phone, about a gentleman, I think in Iowa, who was fired from his job for expressing his faith regarding, of course, one of the social issues nowadays that they're trying to shove down our throats. And he made the comment. I think it was he said the rainbow symbolizes God's covenant, but it's being changed into something else today. And because of that comment that he made, he was terminated from his job. And so, but yet he still stood, and he still stood up for what what the word said, what he believed in. So to me that's an example of, hey, I'm going to live out my faith unafraid, regardless of where I am, regardless of where I find myself. It doesn't matter who's with me or who the people that are around me. I will still be who I am, and proclaim without fear what the word says, regardless of whatever consequences might come. And so it takes I think it takes courage, to just really, to be able to live that way, to be able to say, to have that resolve to say, I'm unafraid, and I will live out my faith regardless of whatever will come our way. So I was really encouraged by that this afternoon, when I read that story, and I just really hope that, a lot of people would stand up for stand up for the word, and stand up for their faith, and not be ashamed or not be shut down, for what they believe in, for trusting and believing in God's word, and trying to live their lives according to God's principles. And so that to me was just really, one of many. I'm sure there's many out there. I've heard of stories and I've seen. So that is just one of many. Stories of courage in our world today. So that should encourage us today, that wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, just live out your faith unafraid. Don't be a closeted a Christian. Do not be that. Don't be a Christian who is just a flip-flop Christian. You just slip into the shoes, your Christian shoes, whenever you want to. You don't want to be that. I should be a Christian, 24/7. I should be the same person you see at church. I should be the same person you see outside of church. There should be no difference. I should be able to say what I say proudly in church. I should be able to say what I say proudly outside of church. So there shouldn't really be any difference. It shouldn't be any difference with how you live your life, out inside church and outside of church. Your life should shine Christ light brightly. If you're truly Christian, you should not be afraid to stand up for your beliefs, and stand up for what is right. Stand up for, yes, Sister Jasmine, stand up for God's principles. That is right. So again, that's just one encouragement that I wanted to give to you today, on that. I was talking about a book that I was reading last week. I still haven't been able to finish it because it's been quite a week for me, but it's an interesting read, and I just really didn't want to just really breeze through. So I've really been taking my time to go through it. And it's Checking In by Michelle Williams. For those of you who don't know, she's part of Destiny's Child. She's also the one that sang When Jesus Say Yes, Nobody Can Say No. So that Michelle Williams. So she wrote a book that's really it's a great read. It's called Checking In. Many times we shy away from talking about issues that really affect us as Christians. And I just thought it was just it was a very open and honest book, an open conversation that she was having in this book, regarding, mental health, regarding depression. So I think we tend to just shy away from talking about issues that really affect us as Christians, and one of those issues, of course, is mental health. A lot of our brothers and sisters are suffering from, depression, manic episodes, and just mental issues. But we're afraid to talk about it because of, I think, in some ways, it's because of the stigma that comes with it or is associated with talking about it. But like I said, Michelle Williams talks candidly about this in her book Checking In, because she suffers from depression, and I just think it's really important, or just so sweet. And when somebody, of course, in this world today, someone who has, the social standards that she has, to status, that she has, to just really be open about situations or issues like that, and especially if it's coming from someone who's Christian. And so we fail to check in. She talks about checking in, which is I love the title of the book, checking in. I talk about checking in quite a bit sometimes too, but it was just really interesting to see the perspective in which she was coming from in terms of checking in. She says it's really important for us to check in. Checking in is really important. Checking in with ourselves, checking in with God, checking with others, and to see how they're doing. We fail to check in with ourselves. We have to be aware of our own thoughts. We have to be aware of our feelings. We have to be aware of our spirituality. And we fail to live as God wants us to live because we fail to see ourselves as God sees us. And I thought, and this is just a brief summary of what I've read so far. I will probably have like a complete what am I gonna call it now, summary of the book when I'm done by next week. I'll be done by tomorrow, so maybe when I come in next week I'll give you like a full gist of it. But this is just from what I've read so far, and it's just really amazing, and it just really captured my heart. And she talks about, she hones in on one part on, of course we all know Psalm 139, of course that famous verse that we all know, verses that we all know, but Psalm 139 from 13 to 16 says, "For you created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, I know that full well. My frame was hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained, all the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." And of course, honing in on that, I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. That is one that we always need to have that stamped in our heads, stamped in the back of our heads, because we fail so many times to remember. We forget to remember that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, because of the labels that we've placed in ourselves, or the labels that we've let others place on us, or the world place on us. And it's interesting because you're just talking about, I know a lot of people are crazy about designer stuff. You're calling like the Louis Vuittons, the Dolce Gabbanas, the Gucci's, and all of that. And this is for women, of course. And then you have the Balenciagas. Those huge. Everybody's calling big names designer stuff. We define. I mean, a woman will have this purse, a Coach purse, or a Louis Vuitton purse, and it's like, oh, it's a sign of prestige. It's a sign of just they know their worth, or they measure their worth on things like that. So if we define a bag based on the creator, it's funny because a Louis Vuitton purse, to me, will still hold. I don't have a Louis Vuitton. I have a what's that called, the ones from Target. I forget, is it Massimo? I forget, but those the store brand names, you have that, or you have the Steve Madden or something. And for me, those it still does the same thing. I still put my stuff in there, still works fine. But if we define a bag based on its creator, why do we not, if we define a bag, if we define shoes, if we define cars, based on the creator, why do we not define ourselves by the same standards? That was a question that I was like, when I saw that, I was like, wow. I had to take a pause and be like, that really, that was deep. Because we define things based on the creator. We look at that. Oh, that's Louis Vuitton. That's high class. That's up there. You see a Mercedes Benz, a Maybach. Oh wow, Mercedes Maybach. That's up there. You see all the big cars, the Porsches. You're defining. If we define those things based on their creator, why do we not define ourselves by the same standard? we're finding our identity in the wrong places. And it's just so, I think it's just really important that we recognize that and take a pause if you're in that, because sometimes we do fall into that. I fall into that sometimes without even knowing, because of the pressures from around, and we fall into that trap of just really defining ourselves by those things. We're defining ourselves by the wrong labels given to us by other people, or even labels given to us by ourselves. Sometimes we place those labels on ourselves, and it's not even other people placing those labels on us. So how are you defining yourself? Where are you finding your identity? Are you looking in the wrong place or in the wrong places for your identity to know who you are? Are you defining yourselves by the kind of shoes you wear, the kind of designer clothes or accessories that you put on, by the car you drive? Is that where your identity is found, and is that where you find your identity? How are you defining yourself? That's a question you need to ask yourself. I can't answer that for you, but you need to reflect on that. And so, are the labels you're putting on yourselves, are they the right labels or the wrong labels? And is it the world that's putting that label on you, or are you the one putting the label on yourself? And if it is the world that's putting the labels on you, are you accepting those labels that the world is putting on you? So check in with yourself regularly, which is really important. And sometimes the labels that will come up with, and it's so funny because she when I was reading that, she was talking about checking in, and she gave examples of how she was checking in with herself, and thinking of labels that she could come up with. And I decided to do the same exercise. Okay, I'm going to check in with myself right now and see some of the labels that I have falsely placed on myself. And a few that I came up with were, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm boring, I'm a quitter, I'm a loner, I'm not really a people person. And those are just a few of the labels that I came up with, and the list goes on and on. And I'm sure that's, if I were to ask you to do the same thing, to sit down and check in with yourself and think of where you're at, and check in with yourself and come up with labels that you've maybe given yourself or placed upon yourself, you would maybe come up with some that would match up with mine. And sometimes, and the list goes on. And a lot of times we believe and we embrace these labels, and we've made these labels define us. You say, say for instance, I never get anything done, and you have that because you said that, you've labeled yourself like that, as that, someone who never gets anything done or who never completes anything, someone who's a quitter. And then you find yourself, first you've had that, you have that in your head, and now you've formed that. It's now a definition that you have for yourself. And because you now have that as your definition, or something that defines you, you tend to act that way, and you never get anything done because subconsciously your mind is already like, yeah, I'm someone who never gets anything done, so nothing's going to get done. I'm going to start and I'm going to quit. And many times we have embraced these labels, and we've allowed them to define us. So if who I am is based on what other people say about me, or the negative things that I say about myself, then I have no chance. But if who I am is based also on what I say, the negative thoughts, like I said, the negative thoughts that I have for myself, or the labels that I have for myself, then I have no hope. There's really no hope. But if who I am is based on who made me, then I am his. If who I am is based and grafted on who made me, or grafted in who made me, my identity is based on that, my knowledge of who I am is based on him, then I know that I am his. The only label that I have, and that really matters, is that label of God. That label that I'm God's handiwork. I'm his beautiful creation. I'm his child. That's the only label that matters, and that's the label that I should, you should, we all should be placing on ourselves. So what labels are you giving yourself? What labels are you placing on yourself, and in just in your life in general? What are the negative thoughts, hopefully, that you can take out of your mind, of your vocabulary, of, when you check in with yourself? Are there any negative thoughts, any negative labels that you can say, okay, I'm throwing this away, I'm not a quitter, I'm throwing this away, I'm enough, I'm throwing this away? What are those things that you say about yourself that are not true? People think or believe that church is there. Again, like I said, sometimes it's very hard to sit down and talk about these things in church, because it's like, okay, we're going to go to church and we're going to pray, because people think, and when she said that, it was really, I thought that was important and also profound, because she said she needed counseling, she needed professional help, she needed to go see, and she needed to really get the professional help for her depression, because she didn't think, she was also of that school of thought, where, oh, only the high and mighty, only the rich go and get go to therapy sessions or go speak to others. She also was of that mentality of, oh, only crazy people and things like that. But I'm going to church, I'm going to pray, and everything will be fine. So believing that church is therapy, while that is fine, there's nothing wrong with that. We also have to recognize that in addition to that, we also should seek the professional help, or encourage those who are going through situations like that to seek professional help. In addition, of course, to just relying on God fully. But you also need to seek that professional help. Without checking in, you become completely unaware of yourself. This was something else that she said that I found profound. Without checking in with yourself, you become completely unaware of yourself. Without checking in with you, so I don't check in with me. I'm just going nonstop. I'm not taking the time to really check in. I become completely unaware of myself. I become completely unaware. I do not know who I am. I do not know why I'm reacting the way I'm reacting. I'm not thinking things. I'm not thinking deeply or taking the time to really just get in touch with who I am. I become unaware of who I am as a person, who I am as a child of God. And speaking on this again, the book is about, she talks candidly about living with depression. So she says depression can hit anybody, male, female, upper class, lower class, young, old, you name it. And it can seek and find you out without any justifiable cause. It comes in all forms. Depression comes in all forms. Sometimes it's genetic, sometimes it's situational. Sometimes this one I thought was, I never thought of it this way, but she said sometimes it's unmet spiritual needs. Sometimes our unmet spiritual needs lead us to depression. So what are those spiritual needs? Like, you're praying for something and it's not happening. I want to be at this level in my faith, or I'm hoping that I can be this, and then it's not happening. So sometimes it's our unmet spiritual needs that lead us to depression. Depression is it's an assassin. And if you don't deal with it, it will swallow you. It does not always have a look. It doesn't always have a look. You can see someone looking fine and happy and smiling all the time, but they are going through it and you have no idea. So have I been letting myself feel my feelings? Those are questions that she was asking, which I thought was profound. Have I been letting myself feel my feelings? these are, checking in with questions, checking in with you questions that, you can also apply to yourself. You can also sit down and think about, when you're checking in with yourself, have I been letting myself feel my feelings? I'm going through something. Have I actually sat back to really, really just feel exactly what I'm feeling, to really get in touch with this emotion? I feel anger right now. Why am I feeling anger? Why is there something deeper? Is there something that's triggering that anger? What is it that's triggering that feeling that I'm feeling in that moment? So letting myself really, really feel my feelings. It's a question. It's a way to actually check in with yourself. You ask yourself that way, when you react a certain way to something, a situation that has happened to you, can you sit back and just really let yourself feel what you're feeling, and just be honest with exactly how you're feeling, and try to get to the root of that, the cause of that, particular emotion that you're having? Am I withholding forgiveness from myself or from others? Am I withholding forgiveness from myself or others? That's another thing. I talk about forgiveness quite a bit. That's one of the hardest things to do, is to forgive others. But what I always say, and a lot of people say that too, and I always encourage, is when you don't forgive, you're trapping yourself in that prison, in that cell of unforgiveness. It's like, I've heard this quite a bit in a lot of places, and I think I heard it today. I forget exactly where, but unforgiveness is like drinking poison, and then hoping that the other person suffers or dies from the poison that you just drank. So you're trapping yourself in that cell, in that prison. If you don't forgive others, and sometimes we do not forgive ourselves. God has forgiven us of every sin that we've committed. If you've surrendered, if you've confessed your sin, He forgives, and He doesn't remember. So if He is forgiven and has amnesia, does not remember, why are you still holding on to that? And why are you not forgiving yourself? Why are you holding on to that thing that you did? Because that's what the devil will do. Will always bring that sin back, put it in your forefront, and just make you always, like, it's always there right in front of you, so you don't forget, oh, you did this, oh, you're not worthy of this, because remember what happened, remember what you did. So constantly reminding you, and then making it difficult for you to forgive yourself. So what lies are you believing to be truth? And that's, it's a question too that I have to ask myself. What are some of the lies that I'm constantly believing to be truth? What are the lies that are disguised as truth, that I've actually swallowed, or I'm continuously swallowing as truth pills, when they're not, when they're actually lies? So what are the lies that I'm believing to be truth? So don't stop checking in with yourself. I think this is really important, to constantly check in with yourself. Do it every day if you can. Do it weekly if you can. Do every day, like deep checking in with yourself. And you can do so, like, you just sit down, get a piece of paper, get a journal, or nowadays with your phones, you can get like a notepad app on your phone, and you can just check in with yourself, write down those thoughts, go over them, really ask yourself those questions. So when we're checking in with ourselves, we can root out the beliefs behind our thoughts and the thoughts behind our emotions. She says, when we're checking in with ourselves, when we are checking in with ourselves, we can root out the beliefs behind our thoughts and the thoughts behind our emotions. So what are the beliefs behind your thoughts? What are the thoughts that are forming on the inside of you? What are the thoughts that you have going on inside of you? You can, what if you can, if you're checking in with yourself, you can root those out. And when you root those beliefs out behind those thoughts, and you can also find out, and you can actually root out those thoughts behind the emotions. So you're thinking this thing about yourself, and you're like, okay, I'm not worthy, and because I'm not worthy, or because I'm not pretty enough, or because I can't do this, then you don't get a particular part or something that you want, and then you get really angry, or you get resentful, or you get really mad at something, and you're like, oh my goodness, there's no way you would have been able to really get to the root of what that problem is without deep checking in with yourself. And so sometimes on the surface we react to something. I might react in a certain way, like I'm really upset or I'm irritated at something. Sometimes it's not just the surface. I have to sit down and say, what exactly is that that's causing me to feel the way that I'm feeling? Could it be something that, and sometimes it's not even something related to that certain or that particular thing or situation that just happened. It could be something that happened years ago that's just buried down inside of you, that just sadly the present situation just sort of triggered it to come to the forefront and manifest in that particular emotion that you're feeling in that moment. And so just it's really important for us to do those check-ins with ourselves. Again, it's a really, really great read, Checking In by Michelle Williams. If you're able to get your hand on it, I really will encourage you to read it. It's an awesome read. Again, these are things that we really need to talk about, especially as a faith community. We need to talk about it. We need to encourage it. We need to help those who are going through it, because I believe in some ways we all in some ways suffer from some sort of mental issue. I mean, don't get me wrong. We have those moments where we feel down. Something will pull us down, and it's just really encouraging one another, and just in situations where there's really that need for professional help, to really encourage that, and to continue to have conversations like that. And like I said, once I finish reading the book, she's got a lot of nuggets in here that are amazing. I will definitely share again on the rest of the book when I come on next week. Again, it is Checking In by Michelle Williams, a great read. If you're able to get your hands on it, please go ahead and do so. And on that note, I would just really want to say thank you again for just staying with me this evening and just letting me reflect. Hopefully you're able to take away something from tonight. Again, just remember to live unafraid, live out your faith unafraid, wherever you are, wherever you find yourself. Don't be a flip-flop Christian. Don't just be that Christian who is Christian on Sunday. Be Christian 24/7. Be Christian 24/7. Wherever you find yourself, you have to be Christian. Your life inside of church should be the same outside of church. Whatever you say in church should be the same. It's the same language you speak in church should be the same language you speak outside of church. So it shouldn't be two people that we're seeing, two different people we're seeing when people say you're a different person on Sunday and you're a different person on the rest of the week or the other days. So it's a 24/7 deal. Remember, check in with yourself. Always check in with yourself, because it's really important. It's really important for your mental health. Do you have any spiritual needs that are unmet? Just continually know that God is always with you. God knows exactly what He's doing. He has plans for you, and they're plans for good. And He's blessings for you. Whatever it is that you've asked Him for, if it's meant for you, it will definitely come at the appointed time. So there's no reason for you to don't allow the enemy to make you feel to get into that place of doubt, to get into that place of, oh gosh, I haven't gotten this, so I'm not worthy, or God doesn't love me. God loves you, and He knows exactly what He wants for you, and His timing is always perfect. So be encouraged tonight. Remember, we are listener supported. We're a listener supported station. We rely on your generosity to carry on to do all that we do. So thank you again so much to those who support day in, day out. We're so grateful. It's because of your generosity that we are able to do what we do. For those who haven't supported yet, please prayerfully consider being a supporter today. You can do so through Cash App. For Cash App, it's the $ New Season WC. Again, that's the $ New Season WC. You can also do so through Zelle. For Zelle, it's 954 954-536-1821. Again, that's 954-536-1821. You can go straight to our website, newseasonfm.com, click on the give/donate button. It will take you right to the page where you're able to give your donation. If any of those don't work for you, please write us a check and send it out to 4660 North University Drive, Lauderhill, Florida 33351. Again, that's 4660 North University Drive, Lauderhill, Florida 33351 or 33319. Either of those zip codes would get straight to us. Again, don't forget, Pastor Steve's book, Unmasking Darkness, is available for purchase. You can give us a call at 954-533-8187, and you can we can just get a copy out to you if you'd rather do that. You can go straight to his website, www.pastorstephenbuchanan.com. That's www.pastorstephenbuchanan.com. Stephen with PH. StephenBuchanan.com, and order your copies there as well. So thank you all so much for your support. Join us tomorrow morning at 6:30 for In His Presence, where Pastor will be on with Minister Brittany on In His Presence, and also join them again from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. for the Pastor Steve Show. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. for the Pastor Steve Show, and we're going to circle around, and we're going to come back at 7:30 for Speak the Word with Reverend Crescent Hessan. At 6:30, Speak the Word with Reverend Crescent Hessan. So as always, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate family who have tuned in on 89.1 FM. Thank you all so much, family who have come on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you all so much. Facebook family, of course, I thank you, Sister Marcia, for coming on. I didn't see Sister Christine, but thank you. I see Pauline, thank you. Brittany, thank you for coming on. Mommy Jasmine, thank you so much for coming on. Sister Marcia, thank you. I appreciate you. It's either Joshua or Sister UC. Thank you for coming on. Of course, Sister Joy, thank you for coming on. And so again, 2 weeks in a row now, this is my song of the week, I would say. I'm just tapping into my Nigerian heritage right here. So Banky W taking us out again with Selense. And of course, I think this is Sister Marcia's song as well. So taking us out tonight, Selense de Go. It just means we're flexing our way out. Whatever God has for us, we are still flexing, and we are, it doesn't matter what the enemy says, but we are Selencing and going. Have a good night, everyone, and I pray that you all have a great rest of the week.
Reason to believe I can make it through the night, and everything will be alright now. Idimu manopi mo, imeremu ifoma, ndadimu Jehovah me. Idimu manopi mo, imeremu ifoma, ndadimu Jehovah me. Papa na you, Jesus na you. You dey make me one day silence they go. Silence they go. Papa na you, Jesus na you. You dey make me one day silence they go. Silence they go. Everybody, silence they go. Everybody sing. Silence they go. Silence they go. Silence they go. Yeah. Silence they go. Silence they go. Silence they go. Everybody dance. Silence they go. Silence, let's go. It's a brand new melody. God have mercy. I'm a living testimony of your goodness and your love. Goodness and your love. It is evident, oh, you can see the evidence, oh. You're blessing me, oh. It makes a difference, oh. You always blow my mind. You're the reason I can sing and scream your name. Jehovah me, to talk today.
I can never say too much.
If I start to count the way,
I can never count too long.
make my night a brighter day.
Igwe, oh, Igwe.
And I'll forever sing your praise.